Hi, Tajahao, and welcome to ICCA Statistics and You. My name is Diana, but you're not here for me. You're here with Marco von Ederson, Senior Manager of Research and Market Analysis at the International Congress and Convention Association. Also virtually my boss. So welcome, Marco. Thank you so much for being here.
Hello, thank you, Diana. Very nice to be with you all. Looking forward to a nice interactive session about statistics and other things.
And other things, of course. So ladies and gentlemen, this is a live session. So if you have any questions at all, please write them down in the chat and we'll collect them as we go. That said, I do have some questions already for you, Marco. So we'll try to answer as many as we can with the time that we have.
Sure, let's do that, yeah.
All right. Before we go on to our first question, I would just want to pull out a random poll. I'll bring out the first poll question that we've already prepared for today. This is just a little something we prepared for fun, just for our audience to play along with. So the question is, are you willing to travel to events when travel restrictions lift, if you've been vaccinated, if the virus is under control, or with health and safety measures are in place? So go ahead and answer that poll while we continue our conversation. Okay, so Marco, yesterday for ICCA session, Statistics Reinvented, you talked about recently how we published our ICCA statistics report and how drastically different it was from the stats reports published for the previous years, mainly due to how COVID-19 affected all our meetings in 2020. So our first question is, we've gone through 1 year of the pandemic already. So what does the current association's meeting landscape look like through ICCA's eyes? Like, what's the general impression that we have?
Sure, yeah. It's a different perspective, certainly. Indeed, for the 2020 report, we decided not to publish the traditional ranking because all the countries and all the associations were affected by the pandemic, of course, more or less in the same degree. But now we are seeing a few other interesting changes. In 2020, when the pandemic just started, the associations were not quite sure how to act. Should they postpone their meetings? Should they cancel their meetings? Should they take their meetings on a virtual level, etc., etc.? It sounded a bit negative, of course, in the beginning. It was not good news. But then it was very encouraging to see that there were some positive changes to the pandemic as well. And one of them being that the virtual meetings or hybrid meetings were able to attract a larger audience than the face-to-face meetings normally would attract. So as a result of all this, the international associations found themselves with a bigger audience for their meetings, which was, of course, very positive in terms of legacy and knowledge development. In the beginning, we saw that the associations offered these virtual meetings more or less for free, or for a very small fee indeed. And of course, that is now slowly changing as well, because associations realize that investments are needed to make professional presentations possible. And of course, there's a price tag to that as well. So we see that the fees are slowly coming back, but certainly the economic impact for 2020 was, not good, to say the least. Yeah.
Okay, very.
In the beginning, indeed, associations use the low-tech solutions like Zoom, like WebEx, like GoToMeetings. And now associations realize that in order to be professional in this modern age, they need to make it more professional. And that's certainly something where the suppliers can play a role, but we'll come back to that later, I guess.
Well, we've definitely seen a boom in terms of virtual platforms. Like we've seen virtual platforms you've never even heard of before, and even more are coming up with even better and smoother solutions than those that we've used in last year.
Correct. Shall we have a look at the first polling question, Noriana?
Yeah, sure. All right, let's see the results. So let's just see what our audience has answered, if they have answered anything. Can we see the results of the first poll? Or maybe they haven't finished answering the poll yet. I'm not sure.
Okay, well let's continue then and wait for the results to come in. Yeah.
Okay, sure. We'll give you some more extra time to answer. It's a very tricky question. I understand. Okay, so actually, right after we published the latest statistics report, we already got some queries from ICCA members already asking, how will the ICCA 2021 stats report look like? So can you give us some insight into that already?
Yeah, can imagine that's a hot topic for sure. Of course, traditionally, we have always published the statistics report, including the rankings, which were a very highly anticipated feature for the ICCA members and for the general audience. People love rankings, and for a good reason, because it's, of course, telling a story. Oh, here we have the results. Let's have a look.
Okay, all right. So the results is a lot of
when travel restrictions lift. Yeah. So the most important one is when travel restrictions lift, but certainly all of the above. So including when the virus is under control, when everybody is vaccinated, etc., etc. But when travel restrictions lift, yes, that's a very important element for sure.
Yep, because a lot of people want to travel, it's just that they can't, you know. So
correct.
That's definitely a factor.
And that's already also an answer to the question that you just asked, Diana, about how will the 2021 report look like. Of course, we are still seeing, certainly in the first 2 quarters of 2021, that the majority of the meetings were affected once more. We are positive about Q3 and especially about Q4 for 2021 for face-to-face meetings to return. So depending on the success of especially the last quarter of the year, we could consider introducing again an overview of meetings that actually took place that were unaffected. But it will be not a full return to the rankings yet. We'll have to wait for 2022 for that, I would imagine. For ICCA, it's very important not to suggest that any destination is more or less successful compared to previous years, because it's really out of our control at the moment still. So only once destinations are in control of their own performance, we will fully go back to the ranking.
Okay, thank you for answering that, Marco. Hopefully we won't get those questions anymore anytime soon. Okay, so the next question is very simple, but also very complex at the same time. Do associations still want to meet? So because our stats report, we only take in the data of association meetings. So after like 1 whole year of being on a, full stop, do associations still want to meet? I assume this question is more of like face-to-face meetings rather than virtual. So what do you say?
Yeah. Indeed, we discussed the fact that associations were able to attract a larger audience than normal because of the technology. But certainly, we just conducted a survey. ICCA has just conducted a survey among international associations, and if there was one sentiment that really came very much to the surface, it was the fact that the need for face-to-face meetings has only intensified. It's only with the year of lockdown that we have been in, all of us, we are really eager to meet face-to-face once more and to have the interaction with the audience, because I think everybody will agree that of course the real magic when it comes to meetings lies in what happens in the coffee breaks, the connections that people make. Of course, the exchange of knowledge is crucial as well, but those elements, to a certain degree, can be done through technology, as we have all learned. But if there's one thing that is very difficult to replicate, it's the magic that happens during the coffee breaks. Even though, again, the platforms do offer solutions to that to a certain degree, but I think the human mind is not really adapted to the technological coffee breaks as much as the face-to-face.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. It's the little things that happen in the in between moments, you know, that kind of like that people remember. Like for example, when I used to travel for work, I would feel the excitement of sitting in the hotel lobby and then bumping into people on the way there, like by chance, like, oh hi, like how are you? I haven't seen you in so long, you know, or the times just like going to the hotel restaurant for breakfast, and you know things like that. It's just the little things that we miss about traveling to live events. And I guess I can share that sentiment, because the first thing that like when talking to friends, not just people in the industry like for work, but just traveling for leisure, you know, like the one thing that we all want to do after everything is settled is just get out of the house and go somewhere for fun. So it definitely has intensified.
And let's not forget the need to visit the destination, to learn more about the destination. That's of course yeah, critical as well. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Those are the things that, you know, virtual tours just can't replace. Okay, so can I just pull out the second poll question just for fun, just to fill in?
Yep.
So if you were invited to an event next week and the circumstances were ideal, as in like no travel restrictions whatsoever, you're fully vaccinated or everyone's vaccinated, safety protocols are in place, would you attend the event physically, or would you choose to attend it virtually? Let's say that the event fees are the same. So would you, if given the chance, would you? Let's say this is next week when the pandemic is still, you know, in the midst. So let's leave that there for a while and see what people say. Okay, so another question that I have is, how are associations adapting to the change? Now, we've gone through 1 year of COVID already, and in your opinion, like, do you think associations who have failed to adapt to the new technology, or whether it's new technology, or is it just, you know, lack of manpower, lack of finance, you know, do you think these associations will fall behind, seeing that the pandemic is going to be here for the second year? We all hope not, but you know,
Yep.
seeing as how things are progressing, I think it's still a long way to go.
Interesting question, for sure. What our report has shown is that a certain type of association meeting finds it more difficult to meet virtually. Some types of meetings must be conducted face-to-face. So some associations were really reluctant to organize a virtual or hybrid platform. And those associations must re-evaluate their status quo and modus operandi to make sure that they will be able to survive. But on the other hand, let's turn it around and let's look at the suppliers. Associations are struggling still with the situation, and what they need is the help, the expertise, assistance of the supplier community. So now more than ever, there's a big opportunity actually for all of us meeting suppliers to come forward and to offer our assistance to the associations. What associations are needing at the moment is a number of things. We talked about more professional platforms to conduct hybrid or virtual meetings, but certainly also what they need are more flexible contracts. What they need is an opportunity to make arrangements or come to a solution should the meeting need to be cancelled or is otherwise affected. Force majeure, in other words. So the associations are looking more than ever for suggestions and inspiration from the supplier community. So there's a big opportunity for us all there.
All right. Thank you, Marco. We have a couple of questions from the floor. Do you want to take one?
Oh, good. Yeah, sure.
The first one is, aside from people wanting face-to-face meetings, what other association or meeting trends have ICCA noticed? From our stats report, maybe?
Yeah, sure. So what we have seen is that the number of meetings that were unaffected, they basically took place only in the first two and a half months of 2020. And then everything became affected on a worldwide basis. So that's something that we have all experienced and shared, and nobody is worse off than anybody else. So that's something to realize, that we are all in this together, and we'll get out of this all together, even though some countries are making a bit quicker progress than others, but we will get out of this together. And then we have to indeed start adapting to the change. Certainly, hybrid meetings are here to stay. I think there's no question about that. We should always consider including a virtual element to our face-to-face meetings at all times, because now we know that it's very well possible that not all delegates will be able to travel for whatever reason, maybe not for the pandemic, but for other reasons. And then the hybrid element should be included at all times, and it should be part of the bidding process as well. And that's something that we also see, that bidding processes, decision-making documents need to be rewritten, because rotation patterns will be changed. Frequencies of meetings will be changed in many cases. So there's a lot of work to be done to make sure that we are all ready for the future.
Yeah, when you mentioned about hybrid events are here to stay, I think people have actually realized that hybrid events doesn't need to replace, but it can just be a good addition to what face-to-face meetings already offer because of accessibility. You're just talking about the concept of accessibility, letting people have the option.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have one more interesting question. Which industry associations are bouncing back quicker? We have 2 more minutes, so I'm not sure if you can answer this in less than 2 minutes.
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, some of the sectors of meetings regarding a special subject matter or taxonomy, they are having more trouble with replacing face-to-face. But certainly, for instance, the tech meetings, they have embraced the virtual and hybrid platforms more than, for instance, the medical meetings. So they will be bouncing back quicker, I would imagine.
Okay, so I think before we end the session, I would like to see the results of the second poll. Can we see the results just very quickly? So if you were invited to an event next week, oh, wow, 50-50. See, so the option is there. The option is there. If you could attend virtually, you would attend virtually. If you could go next week, people would still go. So at least the option is there. Okay.
And maybe that would be something nice for me to close on. Indeed, when people are able to travel again, I think there's one lesson that we should not forget that maybe was learned from the pandemic. and that would be the whole aspect of sustainability. I think in the middle of the pandemic, we all said that the world would never be the same again. Now that we are slowly going back, we should not forget, I think, or ICCA believes, that the sustainability element is something that should now be more considered than when we were full in the pandemic crisis. And we should be very responsible when it comes to returning, traveling, and considering all the technology options. For instance, when it comes to site inspections or other things that maybe can be conducted in a different way. So hopefully there will be some lessons learned as well, and the whole positive aspect of all this should not be forgotten.
That is very true. That's very true. Thank you so much, Marco. I'm afraid that we are out of time, but I hope we answered all the questions that we could. So thank you so much for joining us in this live Q&A session. Thank you so much, Marco, for giving us your well thought out time and your insight from ICCA Statistics. And we will see you all next time, hopefully face to face.
Definitely. Thank you for your attention.
Bye. Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone.